still remembering how Fex had shoved him down under here. Quinn chose not to help. If the fall didn't kill him, it wouldn't kill Fex. Fex looked around, but the walls were too far away from him, and there was nothing nearby to attach his strings to slow down the momentum of his fall. Stepping to the side at the last moment, Quinn allowed Fex to land headfirst into the same spot as him. Unlike Quinn, Fex immediately stood up after crashing, rubbing the back of his neck. "You could have at least caught me, man. What was that all about?" Fex continued to dust himself off, and then looked around the place they were currently in. They seemed to be in a large, empty cavern. Several large holes or tunnels seemed to lead to different paths. Looking above them, they saw the plant hanging from the ceiling that had swallowed them whole. When Fex started to pat himself down, he noticed something strange. "Oh no, my flask! It must have fallen out when that giant plant hit me," Fex said angrily. "Do you want the one you gave to me?" Quinn offered. After all, it was never his in the first place, and he still had his blood bank to rely on. "No, I can't," Fex replied. "I know I'm not big on rules and stuff, but that was a gift, and I can't take back gifts. Besides, my reliance on blood is a lot less than most people. It is already at that of a vampire noble. Don't worry about me." It was true that Fex never seemed to be as interested in blood as Quinn did. Even when a student would bleed slightly, Quinn would get this tingling feeling all over his body, and his eyes would naturally be drawn to the bloodied area. But Fex never felt the same way. Quinn would keep it for now, and if Fex needed it. Quinn would still be by his side anyway. Over at different sections underneath the mountain, the others were experiencing the same thing that Fex and Quinn had gone through. Layla and Vorden were both being slowly sucked down, while their faces were pressed up against each other. This is all your fault for grabbing me," Layla shouted. Vorden even felt some of the spit from her lips land on his face, due to how close they were. "Did your parents never teach you how to speak without spreading spittle everywhere? And you would have been eaten anyway, so don't blame me," Vorden shouted back. As the two fell from the plant into the large cave, Layla used her ability to slow her down from falling at a fast speed. Vorden also used the same ability and achieved the same result, so they managed to get down onto the floor safely. They discovered that they were in a large cavern with several entrances, holes, and tunnels all around the cavern walls. However, there seemed to be no one else with them. "Great, looks like I'm stuck with as if there could be a worse pairing than this," Layla thought. In another section of the cavern, the last pairing was of Sia and Peter. The two of them fell through the strange substance at the same time, and as they were falling through the air, Sia noticed that Peter's expression didn't have any trace of fear. Does he have a plan on how to land safely? If not, how could he be so calm? She felt like she had no choice but to grab him. A fall from this height could kill a student, and at best, it could still break a few bones. Sia didn't have any beast gear on her, and her ability would do nothing to slow the descent. Sia grabbed onto Peter's back tightly. As they got closer to the floor, she was waiting for him to reveal his ability. She still had no idea what it was. The group had asked Peter to keep it that way while in front of the teachers. Students, apart from those that knew Pio, wouldn't know, but teachers had files on every student. "No, it can't be," Sia thought, and a few seconds later, Peter crashed dead into the ground. Sia was hurt, but Peter managed to break most of her fall. But as she opened her eyes and looked at her comrade next to her, she could see that all of his limbs were mangled and broken. "What do we do now?" Layla asked. Vorden and Layla were now stuck together in the cavern. There were multiple paths around them, but no way to tell which ones led up or down. Seeing this, Layla didn't have an idea about what to do. "Now you're speaking to me?" Vorden said. "I thought it was my fault that the two of us are here, but when it comes to finding a way out, you come to me for help." Layla stomped her foot onto the ground and took a few steps away. She wanted to storm off and head down one of the paths randomly, but only after taking a few steps, her hands started shaking and her legs started shivering. The thought of seeing beasts, like the ones they had seen so far being down here, frightened her. When she was training at Pure, their main goal wasn't facing beasts, but humans. As an agent, her tasks and training dealt with infiltration, sabotage, and a plethora of other skills. Of course, no amount of training could prepare a child for the real thing. Since coming to this school, she had seen more than she would have liked, and it was starting to take a toll on her body and mind, more so now that her friend she would often comfort had gone. "Why are you still having a go at me?" Layla snapped. "I told you before, you're useless. You were useless before and even more now. At least back then you were Quinn's blood bank, but right now I can fill that role, so honestly, what use is there for you?" "Stop saying the same thing over and over again." Layla was at breaking point and had enough. She no longer wanted to take this type of abuse from Vorden. Without thinking clearly, she lifted a nearby rock and swung it towards Vorden. It was an unexpected attack from Layla, so Vorden was late in his reactions and managed to dodge the small fist-sized rock. The rock grazed his cheek slightly. It caused a surface cut, revealing a trickle of blood. However, the first attack didn't stop there. Layla kept swinging the rocks towards Vorden. As they were hurled towards him, Vorden did the same, repelling them away using the same ability, but also making sure not to throw attacks back. She continued forward, screaming at the top of her lungs. The sound echoed through the cavern. "Wow," Rayton said, laughing. "It looks like you finally broke her. I thought I was the cruel one. You know how to annoy someone when you want to. At least I just give them a beating, but this Vorden, this is just pure evil." Vorden knew Rayton was just trying to annoy him by being sarcastic. The problem was, it was working. Had Vorden gone too far? At this point, he had been trying to split Layla and Quinn apart. Still, without saying too much directly to Layla, it wasn't for him or Quinn. He was doing it for her. "What's that noise?" Sill said as he stood up from his usual crouched position. The screams from Layla seemed to be so loud that they even reached Sill, who would usually ignore most things. However, Vorden was too distracted deflecting the projectiles coming towards him to give Sill a reply. As Sill started walking over towards the chair, Rayton smiled and stepped to the side. "Now this will be good to see," he said. Sill placed his hand on Vorden's shoulder, who was in the chair. Now they both had access to what was going on outside. Sill could see and feel what Vorden was doing. "It looks like you need some help. Swap with me," Sill said. "Sill, I can handle it," Vorden replied carefully. "Swap with me," Sill said, his grip tightening on Vorden's shoulder. Knowing that he had no choice, Vorden reluctantly left the seat. Back outside, 4 stones were now being directed towards Vorden's body. So far he had been taking a step back, deflecting them as they came at him, but suddenly he stood there completely still. As he raised his hands, all of the stones stopped mid-air for a moment. Then, at the same time, the 4 stones were repelled away with even greater force. Layla could tell from the sound they had made when hitting the walls around him. "Why are you attacking me?" Sill asked. Layla had noticed the sudden change in Vorden's attitude. She had seen this happen a few times before. At the canteen, while they were fighting in the desert, and now again. Her sudden attacks stopped.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.